Right. So we'll start then. Okay. Okay. So hello and welcome to the first lecture for the JavaScript program. Now this will serve mostly as an introductory course to programming through JavaScript. My name is Swapnil and Pratish and I are your coaches for the whole program. Now we strongly recommend active participation and interaction in these courses, mostly through like feedback and interaction in these classes, live classes that we have, and through answering questions, submitting assignments, and doing the quizzes and all that we send you in time. Uh, and you'll be graded on your participation based on this, which will be reflected ekdam end way when we assign you the certificates and all that, right? So that is what will mostly that is why we're mostly doing all of this. Now for attendance to the people who joined newly, joined away, I'll just say Abhi, write your name, class, and sections in the chat, and that will allow us to know who you are and will allow us to grade you accordingly. Now I will not be reading what's on the slide in most of the cases, in most of the slides, right? I'll only go over the parts that require explanation. It is your responsibility to review the material after the class. We'll be sending you a lot of material right as the class ends, right? So, by or like on the day of the class, after the meeting. So you could like go over and refer to that material later on. We'll also be giving you assignments and like small coding projects. It shouldn't take more than like 20 minutes or 30 minutes of your work. And every quiz that we have, it will be open book, so you don't have to really worry about cheating and all that, because you are allowed to cheat. It's mostly so that you remember, because one thing that I feel is very important is it's not wrong to refer to material, because I'm pretty sure anybody who's ever worked on a major project, a major coding project, right, everybody is referred to documentation and all that, because nobody can remember everything, right? So with that, I think we'll begin. Right, so I think first it would be appropriate to, all right, so any questions before we start? Any questions? You can use the chat or the mic. Participation is encouraged because that is what you will be judged on, but okay. Okay, so I'll continue, Fir. So first we'll go over what kind of work JavaScript is suited for. Pritish, just keep an eye on the chat and tell me if there's anything. Acha, how is JavaScript advantageous over Python? Okay, JavaScript, yeah, okay. We'll get into that, Aditya. Okay. So first we'll answer Aditya's question. That is what we're planning on leading with. What kind of work JavaScript is suited for? Okay. So Python normally, it's in like most in most traditional scenarios, I think Python is mostly used for machine learning, AI, and like very large scale data manipulation and data management in general. While JavaScript, which is what we're learning, it's mostly suited for websites and games. Like you're developing websites and games, and it's responsible for the interactive parts of the websites that like say you're clicking a button, the color changes, right? Some button color changes, or like when you're hovering on something happens. So that is probably JavaScript working its magic. Then even with the desktop and mobile application development, right? That is also mostly JavaScript based. While you can also do it with Python and other languages, JavaScript is probably the most suited and the most popular language when it comes to app development and the whole suit of this class of in this category. Right. So I think we'll begin with first telling you where we'll be coding. So like normally the place where you'll be writing JavaScript is normally with other languages like HTML and CSS or with frameworks. But here we're just wanting to teach you JavaScript, right? So it'll be very basic, just the JavaScript programming language and no frameworks like React or HTML and CSS. Which is why we'll be using an online compiler. So I'll just be sending the link of the thing that, like, you can use your own online compiler as well, right? But I think, wait, I'll just send you the link and we'll continue. Right, so I've sent you the link, I think. Okay. So that is what we'll mostly be using for now. It's an online compiler that will allow you to compile code and like run JavaScript on the browser. But like we'll cover how you normally run JavaScript and where you normally run JavaScript at the end of the session. But for now, just because we're getting introduced to the language, we'll mostly be just using the online compiler for our convenience. I would recommend that you all open that link, like open the online compiler beside you, and like you can test whatever you want as I progress with the class, which I think would allow you to learn or like grasp concepts much faster. All right, so for this first class, we'll be mostly going over very basic concepts, which I think most of you are already familiar with. But if you aren't, then it's not a big problem. So tell me if I'm going fast, tell me if I'm going slow. Let me know what pace you would prefer and if you'd want me to repeat anything. So, okay. Will mostly be people who've looked into British. That's okay. So we'll mostly be covering no, so we'll only be covering variables, comments, and data types, and basic string operations and all that today. We'll try to finish by in another 40 minutes, which is 9 o'clock, but it might also roll over till around 9:15 or 9:20. We'll see then. Anyways, so we'll begin with variables. Now think of it this way, right? Say I have a box, I put an eraser in a box. Now, when I have that box, right? Wait, let me just create a box here. So say this is the box I have, right? And I keep something inside it. So say this is an eraser inside the box. This gray thing is the box, right? And this is an eraser. So this box that I have kept here, right? It can be defined by mainly two parameters where I've kept the box. So like say you have a real life aapke samne ek box hai, theek hai, you can keep it beside the table, under the table, near the chair, anywhere. So like the first parameter for defining a box is position, where you keep the box ko kahan rakh rahe ho. And the second way you can kind of convey what a box is, or like where, like define a box essentially, is what it contains. So like this box, it contains an eraser. So like we could also refer to it as that box jiske andar eraser hai. That is the way we can reference that box, right? So a variable also works in a very similar fashion. It's used for storing things in your program. Properties of the box. Properties of the box. What would you like to say? Web. Who was that? Who was the question? Web. Properties of the box. Do you mind elaborating? Do you mean? How is it? What does it contain? Yes. So I did mention what it contains and how it is, as in what the place is, like kahan, like where you're placing it. Okay, what quality the box is made of, that is something we're not going into now. I have made another different analogy for that. Okay, is it okay now, Vaibhav? Okay. So variables, they're mostly like you can read the slides as I keep talking. Okay, I will not be referring to that abhi. So variable is very similar to that box that we talked about, because it's used for storing things in your program. Say I have a number, say I have a string, say I have anything, right? I can store it in that variable. I can put it inside that box. Then the second parameter which I talked about, position or location of the variable, right? That is something that does not matter to us currently, because it's stored somewhere in the memory. That is all you have to know. Where is the variable stored? It is stored somewhere in the memory. You don't have to worry about where it's stored and all that. That is something that will come a little later. Okay, so I think I'll share the other window now. Second. Right, so I think I've switched windows. Okay. So this is the online compiler that I shared a link to. This is what we'll be using throughout the course to kind of, explain and demonstrate any programming feature that we have to demonstrate. So how do we write a variable? First things first, we'll say var. Now, what does var do? I'll explain it just in a moment. So like when you declare anything, right? When you declare a variable, this is what you'll be doing. Now it is completely understandable and it is fine if you do not understand what this is just yet. Okay, so variable may, you can see that this can essentially be broken down into three parts, right? The first is var, the second is x, and the third is 10. So I think it's pretty self-explanatory, and you've already been able to understand that the value, that the thing we are putting inside the box, the variable, that is 10, this number that we're putting in, and x is essentially just the name of the variable. Now, what does var do then? Var is just like telling the compiler or the computer. It is telling the computer, chalo abhi hum log ko variable banana hai. That is all it's telling you to do. Like the computer, like when you write var, right? So like when you make any variable, what it's essentially, I'm sorry, a second. So what it's essentially telling you to do is var y equal to say 15 or something, right? This variable is telling the computer you want to make a variable, right? That is the keyword. Var stands for variable. Then this second parameter you have here, which is y or like x or whatever you choose, you could have anything, right? Like I could name this box and it would be completely fine. Abhi ke liye. Yeah, so like var box equal to 10. This is also okay. You can name this whatever you like. You can name the variable whatever you like. This is essentially box ka name. Okay, and the variable equal to sign ke baad, whatever you see, that is the value of the variable. Right. So now the variable can also contain anything you want, like integers, decimals. Like this is an integer we've kept, right? But we could also have something like 15.55555, and that would also be fine. We're just storing a different kind of thing. So like this is storing an integer and this is storing a decimal. Take care. So now what if, just a second. Right, okay. So now that we have stored something, right? We've stored something in the box, but now we want to tell the world what we have stored in that box. So the way you can do that is, and like if you're familiar with other programming languages, right? You'll probably know of the print command in Python. I think Webber is familiar with Python, so he might. Webber, I'm not sure. Aditya, I think. Sorry. Aditya had referred to Python pehle. So Python has the print command, cout. C++ has the cout command or the command out command out method, which essentially allows you to print something to the console, or this output window that you see here. So if you wanted, so if you wanted to say print what is inside this first variable, right? Variable box, because that's what we've named the variable. You do something like console.log box. Why are we saying box here? Because we're referring to that variable. Okay. So when we run it, it's going to show us 10 because that is what the value of the variable is. What if you just want to, like, you don't have any variable, you've got nothing here, yahan pe. Just delete this yahan pe. And you want to just like display a message or something. You just open it in double quotes and then say hello world or whatever you want to say. Okay. And you run it, and that is exactly what it's going to show you. All right, are we clear, Natak? Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask?
No, no doubt here.
Okay, none. Anvit, Jyotishko. All right, Anvit. Sorry, I didn't see your question, pehle. Can variables, Anvit, I'll answer your first question, pehle. What can the number be a floating point number or just whole numbers? It can be anything you want. I'll get to that. Okay. And can variables store characters as well? Yes, they can store characters as well. We'll get to what a variable can store in the data types ka section. Just give me, we'll come to that soon. Okay, so Vaibhav has no question either. Okay, so I think I'll continue. Wait. Right, so this is also another slide you have. You can just refer to this, but I've mostly covered everything that there is. They've used something called document.write here. That is technically correct, but I don't recommend you do it in the compiler. Just like do console log. Just ignore this for now. I'll explain the difference between document.write and console.log afterwards. Take care. Just for now, just like, I'll refer to, just use console.log if you want to print something to the, like as the output. Take care in the compiler that I sent. Next, yahan pe, I think like there are a few criterias that you have to kind of take into consideration when you're naming variables. You remember, right? When we used, just open up the text element. Yeah, so like when we had var x equal to 10 or something, we assigned a name to that variable, and that name was x. Now there are a few conditions that you just have to like keep in mind when you're naming the variable. Take care. So the first is it can only be a character, it can only be a letter underscore a dollar sign. Take care. The first letter that you put, say I have something like box. Take it. The name of my variable is box. I can keep like the dollar sign starting pe. I can keep an underscore starting there. I can keep any character starting pe. Take care. It cannot be a number. I cannot place a number. It'll throw you an error. Yeah, per se. So like it cannot be a number. Like the first letter that you like name the variable with, it cannot be a letter. It cannot be a number. I'm sorry. We also cannot have like anywhere in the variable name. We cannot have, wait, I'm sorry. We can't have mathematical operators or something. Like, we can't have b star asterisk x, because star and because the asterisk, right, it stands for multiplication. So we can't have mathematical operators or logical operators. So like you can't name a variable like something like apples, apples plus oranges, because like this plus is a mathematical operator. You asked me a question. Does that include the mod? Yes, that includes the modulo operator. Rishabh, don't we have to put a semicolon after console.log? You could, in theory, put semicolon, but like it does not throw you an error. Take care. It is obviously good practice to, have the console like semicolon after the console.log on every operation, like every line that you write. Take care. But I think it's there mentioned. Upar, So like every written instruction is called a statement. JavaScript statements are separated by semicolons. It's like if you like see the examples, right? There are semicolons. So yes, it is recommended that you use semicolons, mostly for readability and all that, right? It's just good practice to use semicolons, but like it does not throw you an error. So like you could also get away with not using it, but just make it a habit of adding a semicolon at the end. And like if you have already used C++ or something, then you've probably already got into the habit and practice of adding a semicolon at the end. And okay, is that okay, Rishabh? Rishabh Roy Chaudhary. Okay. And Anvit, does that include the module operator? Yes, it includes everything. Any kind of you cannot also like logical operators, right? And we'll cover this in the next session. So like logical operators like greater than sign, lesser than sign, you cannot even use them in the variable name. So like my advice, and this is something that isn't really formal, is to just like use characters. And like, if you had to like label an apple or something, end pay you can like do something like apple one or something. Or like you can use underscores or anything. But just avoid special characters in general, because you don't know what works and what doesn't at the initial stage. Take care. But if you know what you're doing, then definitely I will not do anything to abate your enthusiasm for that. Take care. So right, so this is pretty much the same thing I said. Mahashri Bhattacharya, if JS is case sensitive, then how does semicolon not matter? Case sensitive. Yes, JavaScript is case sensitive. Semicolon, the semicolon is like the ending pair. Wait, let me share that screen again. So I'm sharing the compiler over here. So I could have multiple lines of code, right? So I could have something like var x equal to 10, var y equal to 15, and then console.log x plus y. You don't have to worry about this right now. I've not covered this. I will explain it to you later. But like yahan pe, as you can see, we've added a console.log at the what do we, Rishabh? Extend, I'll come back to you, Rishabh. So here, by case sensitive, they mean you can't like variable x is not the same as variable y. Like sorry, like if you name this variable x, right, and then if you name a capital X, that then those two variables are different. Like if I call niche wala little small x, okay, these two variables are different. That is what case sensitive means. If it was case insensitive, then these two would have been the same thing, because like case matlab kya, uppercase, lowercase, capital letters and small letters. That is what case sensitive means. Now your question is, how does semicolon not matter? Semicolon is not related to the whole argument of case sensitivity, okay? Because what is semicolon indicating? Semicolon is indicating ये line of code हमने लिख लिया, उसके end पे semicolon लगा दो. It is indicating to the compiler or to the computer who is like reading the code and then like displaying the output, right? That is what it's doing. End of the line pe, like ekdam end pe, that is what it's indicating. And if I run this, it's going to show you 25. Wait, why is not defined? Yeah, that is because I had renamed the variable yahan pe. I'll just do this. Capital X. Right, so that, and then if I run this, it's going to show you 25. It works. But if I just second, don't have enough of space mouse pad there. But like if I just remove the semicolons, right, it will not throw you an error. See, it still works. So that is why like it is obviously recommended, right, because it makes it neater in a way. Mahashri, another question. You don't have to direct message me. You can message everyone. Be okay. Is an operating system being case sensitive a good thing or a bad? An operating system that do you understand what an operating system is? Because I don't, not entirely sure. I'll just send the question you asked so that other people can also see it. Mahashri, do you understand what an operating system being case sensitive means? Like, I don't understand your question. Is an operating system being case sensitive a good thing or a bad thing? Okay. Right. All right. I'll take a few questions now. Second. Right. So what do we do? What do we do if we have to print all the wars one after the other? One after, I'll do that. I'll cover that later. Take care, Rishabh. Don't worry. I mean a programming language. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. Okay. Marshy. Don't, so yeah, programming language being case sensitive is normally a good thing, right? Because it, you know, helps you differentiate. And like, I think like most languages that at least I've dealt with have been case sensitive, right? So it's something you really don't have to worry about. But yes, to answer your question, it is normally a good thing. But like each of them have their own different use cases. Take care. So that is something you also have to take into consideration. But case sensitivity is normally a feature that is very welcome. Anvit, what if I have to display some message along with the output? For example, the sum is 26. I'll just show it to you now because you asked me. So like you'll do something like this compiler isn't, this sum is, and then you'll do something like this. Take care. It's like this is sentence. Just go double quotes पे wrap कर रहे हो. I'll cover this later as well. Don't worry. And this is, you know, there's sum, and you run it. Sum is 1510, and that. Can anyone tell me why this happened? This is something you don't have to know.
Do we have to put the sum is and x plus x, capital X in different brackets?
Not really. We need to put a space before x. Yes, that answers the first question. So यहाँ पे some space लगा दिए. But then 10 plus 15 is not 1510. Why is it doing that? we're going a little out of curriculum here, aaj ke liye. But like even then, if anybody knows why that is happening.
Perhaps we need to remove the plus sign before the first x, like the small x.
No, that is not
If
correct.
you put
This is
small x plus capital X in in brackets.
okay. Let's try that as well. Yeah. Let's run that. Yeah. So that is the correct way of doing this. But the main underlying reason why this happened is because this text thing we have, right? This is known as a string. So like a group of letters or anything, like anything in quotes, yahan pe, they're known as string. They're known as strings, ठीक है? And strings, what normally happened pehle, like why it was 15, 10 and not 25, was that what they did was string addition. Like normally if I had to add two strings, na, I'd do something like essay, like I turn this into a string, ठीक है अभी? And then if I run it, it would be something like this, ठीक है? Because this is no longer the variable, this is no longer referencing this. This is in double quotes, meaning this has become a text thing. So it treats it as if it's a string, ठीक है? Like it does not treat them as integers anymore. And this is something, this is JavaScript's inbuilt feature. Like it like converts this number or this integer that we have automatically into text, like text wala number. So like what it did yahan pe was like it added 15 and it added 10, and that is why we got 15, 10. This is something I'll cover later on. So like if you don't understand now, it's completely okay. This is known as string addition, and it's a feature of JavaScript. Like it automatically converts it into that. But yes, who said brackets pe dal ke hoga, it'll work? I didn't get your name pehle. Huh? I did. I asked you a question. Like I don't remember who it was. Achha, never mind. I'll refer to the class ka like recording uske baad. Anyway, this is something you also should know about. Will be like the class ka recordings. It will be available after the class. Take it like whenever Pritish finishes uploading it to YouTube. It'll all be available there, so you can refer back to the classes if you have to. Anyways, I think we'll continue for now. Right. So wait, I'll just change the window again. So the next thing we'll be covering abhi is comments. Take care. Okay, so comments, what do comments do? It's essentially created for our convenience. Take care. What it is essentially doing is like, say you have a very big wall of code or something, JavaScript code. Take care. And you quickly just want to understand what you have written in that code, because you might have written it months pehle and you don't remember exactly what that code does. But then if you included comments, right, what do comments act as? Like they act as a sticky note, or like as a chota piece of paper where you can just scribble down what it means, and then you can essentially use that to kind of reference, like for future reference. Explains the code in that line. It can also not just one line web of, it can also explain the whole like function or whatever we have defined. Take care. It is mainly used for personal reference. Does the alert do anything, or is that just for convenience? Alert kahan pe? Niche. Alert is a thing. Wait, did I have it anywhere? I don't believe I included it. But like alert, it essentially opens up a dialog window. Do not add alert abhi ke liye, because we're using online compiler na. But once I tell you how to, like, it's in the black box. Right. This code example, like this is an alert box. That is, it essentially like a dialog box ki tarah hota hai. Like in the browser, like sometimes you have when you say you're trying to log into something and then like the password or something is incorrect, there's a box that shows up on the top saying your password or username is incorrect. That is what an alert is. And that is like a basic way you can kind of display a message inside an alert. This is something that isn't really important, or like it's not used very often, but it's trivia that you can know about. Anyways, so yeah, you're welcome on with. So anyways, the text in comments isn't so like the text that we put inside comments, right? So like this is a single line comment. The text that we put inside that sticky note or like flag that we've put down and to explain future reference ke liye, we don't have to really worry about we don't have to worry about it being compiled by the code. So like we don't have to like adhere to any syntax or anything. It can just compile on its own as it will skip. Sorry, the compiler will skip. Okay. So like wait, let me just give you a reference thing. You don't have to understand what this code does. Okay, I'll just change the window again. So like this is code from a project I created pehle. Okay, like it's just chunk of code. You don't have to understand what this means. Even I don't think I remember what I wrote yahan pe. But as you can see here, I included comments here. And what that essentially told me was that this is making a slider for a year. Now you don't have to understand what this is. Yeah, you don't have to understand the code at all. Just like look at the comments. It's like I put that for future reference, just so I know what I'm writing about. So like yahan I added a comment, then yahan pe I added another comment. And it's essentially talking to a future self. So when you write your comments, a very good kind of rule of thumb you could like follow is to write comments as if you were communicating with your future self who has no idea what code you have written, and you're trying to essentially explain that code to him. Okay, you don't have to become very detailed in your explanations or anything. And see, yahan pe I added another comment which explains what this does. Okay, so like you don't have to understand what this was. This is pretty much an example of a comment. Okay, so there are two types of comments that you can use in JavaScript. One is a single line comment and one is a multi-line comment. Now, I think it's pretty self-explanatory what both of them do. It's like what we have used here are 3 single line comments. Okay? And the way you kind of make a single line comment is like if you just add a comment yahan pe without the slashes or anything, right? Like your slider, if I add that here, your slider, I'm explaining the code here. This will be compiled because see it's in white yahan pe, and like there is no comment ka indication here yahan pe. So this will be compiled and this will throw you an error. Like if I run this now, okay, it'll throw you an error anyways. Like see yahan pe it kind of points us syntax error, unidentified identifier, like unexpected identifier. So the way you can kind of comment this line out, is just add 2 slashes. That's it. And this whole line, whatever you write in this line, later on baad mein, it becomes a comment. Okay? But like if you go to the next line, it's no longer a comment. So what if, like in this use case, you had to like write a comment that spans multiple lines, or like say you had a segment of code, like I don't like this part of the code, I want to get rid of it, but I don't want to also like delete it. Okay? So like if I backspace karke aise kar diya, I also don't want to do that. I just want to like keep it for future reference, but I don't want to use it. I just want to comment it out. In this case, I could obviously like do this, right? I could like ek karke slash karu abhi. I could like do that to all the lines, but instead of that, I could use what is known as a multi-line comment and essentially begin with a slash and an asterisk and end at the point where I want the comment to stop. So see, yahan se fir se white ho gaya. Like this part has been commented out now, the part that I do not like. So like I'm not deleting it, but like multi-line comment, I'm just creating it so that I can keep it for future reference. Soch lo baad mein again I realize I need this line. Okay? And I might have to write it again, and that might lead to a lot of production issues. So instead, what I can do is I can just comment it out and it's back. So comments were pretty simple and self-explanatory. Does anybody have any questions yahan se? None. Okay. Right then, I will move on to our last segment for today. Second last, technically, but just a second, I'll switch the windows. Right. So I have, right. So the next segment that we have is data types. Okay. All right. So let us go back to the analogy. Do you all remember the analogy I used for the eraser and the box when I was explaining variables? Wait, we just keep that inside. Yahan pe. Like, let's bring back our box again and say I have a box of different, like I have two different boxes. Take us, like I have this box and I have this box. But I think I'll label it. Excellent. What is this? Huh? Right. So I'll just label it X7. So this is box 1. This is box 2. So like these are the two boxes we have, and inside that we have two different things. So this time, let's take fruits. Take apples and oranges. So like this one is an apple, and yahan pe, this does not look like an apple. It's just a box, but okay. And this one is an orange. Take care. Wait. Huh. So box 2 contains oranges. Box 1 contains apples. And the way I'd refer to box 1 is like, I'll probably have something like, if I were to write code for this, right? I'd probably do something like var box 1 bruh, yeah, equal to something like, I don't know, apple. Okay. And I'd probably do something like var box 2 for the oranges and call it oranges. Take care. And obviously you can kind of list things as well using lists and dictionaries and all that. I will not get into that right as of yet. ठीक है? So like this is the very basic example we have abhi ke liye. And we're essentially storing two different types of things in this in these two boxes, right? Like this one stores apples and this one stores oranges. Now these apples that I have here, one could be from Himachal Pradesh, one could be from Kashmir, and like the taste and the color, like thora, it could be different. Okay, like it could be just little different yahan pe, but then it would be an apple nonetheless. And yahan pe bhi I could have more oranges, could give it a few more friends, and this would essentially be serving the same purpose as well. So what we're essentially doing here is kind of setting up we are setting up an analogy for what a data type is. So like if you have any experience with previous languages and all that, right? Like say C++ or something. Say I want to store some. Wait, I'll go back to the. Do I have anything? यहाँ पे नहीं. So say I'll just code यहाँ पे अभी के लिए, ठीक है? Okay. So say I have something like this, and then I have something like this in the same. I'm just adding it here. So this is the code block we have, and then say these are technically the same. I'll use an easier example when it comes to for explaining data types in the context of programming, right? So like the basic gist of the data types is this. Take like they're the different kinds of things, but like this clumped together, right? So yahan, wait just a second. Say I have 10 here, and say I have 10.5 here. What is the difference between box 1 and box 2? Accepting answers in chat. Could anyone tell me what the difference here? One is an integer and one is a decimal. Float is something I'm not getting into right now. But like a float is essentially a decimal, for those of you that are wondering. So like this one is an integer and this one is a float. So these are two different things. And if you were, like programming in a language such as C++ or something, right? You'd have to like write int for, variables that we're doing it on, variables that contain integers, and then say float for the variables that contain decimals. But like JavaScript, what it does for us is it automatically identifies what data type it is. It's like int, float, decimals. These are all different types of data types. Okay. So var, and then we have var is again. It's like all we have to do to declare the data type yahan pe is just use var. It's like nothing has changed from the first example that I gave to you all. It's pretty much the same thing. And it automatically determines what data type we are using. Okay. So like that, let's just go over here. So like the term data type refers to the types of values a program can work with or a variable can work with. Okay, program. This guy and can hold a bunch of different data types such as numbers, strings, and arrays, and you name it. So what we did here was essentially decimal and integer. Dono ko we compared, right? But we also have something called strings, which I already gave you the example pehle. So like say I have a message, okay, that I want to display. Message is something like, hello, my name is JavaScript. Okay. So and also like you could add semicolons, you could not add semicolons as well. This is something that is up to you, but obviously semicolons are recommended. Like say I have something like this. If I were to display this message yahan pe, okay, say I have this message and I want to display that, or I want to put that inside a variable. I could technically paste it yahan pe, okay? But then is this okay? Like, will this pose a problem later on? Will this throw me an error? This line. We need to put semicolons. I have put a semicolon. Semicolon. WebHub says no. That's right. I'll just switch, go back to coding compiler. So like if I compile this, it's going to throw you an error. Aditya, quotation marks. Yeah, we need to put quotation marks. So what the compiler is doing now is it is breaking these up into different parts. Take care. And that is our problem. We want the whole thing to be together. And how do you tell the compiler, or how do you tell the computer that the whole thing will be together in one unit? We'll use this. Take care. We'll use quotation marks. And you can use any quotation mark you want. Take care. So like you could use something like, so you could use double colon, you could use double quotation marks, or you could use single quotation marks. That is up to you. Just a second. Right. So what we are essentially doing here is we're storing a sentence or like a group of characters or a group of letters or anything in a variable. Now you could also add numbers here. Take care. Okay, wait. Now, who could tell me what this is? Like, is this an integer or is this a string? Do console.log and var message do the same thing? No, var message does not do anything. That happened because like it's compiling. No, what if like I want to use a quotation mark in the string? I'm learning JS. I'm coming to that, Aditya. No, console.log is print and var message is setting up a variable. Yes, Rishabh has answered your question. Anvit. Who can tell me if this is a string or if this is a integer? All right, so most of you have told me it's a string. I will not say who has told me it's an integer, but there has been a few people. There have been a few people who have told me this is an integer, but this is a string. Okay. How do you understand whether this is a string or not? It's because you have this in quotation marks. Like if I had something like this, right? Then that would be a second. Then this would be a this would be an integer. Okay, so like if I that's wait, I'll not go over that now. But like this is the essential difference between a string and an integer. A string is always in quotation marks. Now to answer Aditya's question, wait, I'll just copy the message that he wants me to display. So this is the message Aditya wants me to display. And here, I could technically put this in, right? Or I could technically put this in. Okay? So like, let's put this in and see what happens. All right, now who can tell me if this will work or not? It won't work, okay. And why will it not work? No, Antara, I'm not asking for a solution. I'm asking you why it will not work. Because it has single quotations and because in between I and am. And what is the problem here? Yes, Aditya. Yeah, the Aditya is correct. Maybe because the string is closed. Yes, the string is closed. Like what we've done here is we've already finished the string. Okay? What we've done is already if you can see, we've already closed the thing, right? With the I'm apostrophe that we've added. It's like the string is only this one letter, I. And I'm learning JS, it's just not part of the string anymore, even though we have like an open quotation mark here. Okay? So the way we can work around this is two ways. One is we can add a backslash. One is we can add a backslash right behind this thing. Yes, Vaibhav, it would have worked if we used double quotations. I'm getting into that as well. So there are two ways you can do it. One is by adding this backslash. Like say I have single quotes yahan pe, and there I have a single quote beach mein. But then the single quote, what it's doing is it's cutting the string short. So I'm adding a backslash as an escape character, so that it does not account for like, so that the strings like this is not used to close the string. So like if I run it now, it's not. So wait, I didn't even do anything. Console.log message. And now if I run this, it's going to display correctly. But like if I say removed this apostrophe, it would throw me an error. Why? Because there's an unexpected identifier. There's an M. It does not recognize them. Maharshri, yes, I saw your question. I'll come back to your question in just a minute. And the second way you can kind of work around this as well. This error. One is you add a backslash to the end. Backslash acts as an escape character, and it would work. Now what you could also do is add double quotes surrounding the whole string. And because a double quote is different from a single quote, so it won't like take that into consideration, and when you run it, it would also display the same thing. So like what the backslash and the double quotes do is the same thing. The only difference is one pay you're adding a slash, and the other pay you're wrapping the whole string in a double quote instead of a single quote. Has everyone understood strings? Maharshi, I'm coming to your question. Just a second. Has everybody understood this? Okay. It is like a skipper. I mean, it kind of like, think of it this way. Like say I had something like this. I'm back to like essay type of things, and I add a backslash yahan pe. What it does is now essay ekdam normal pe, no backslash, no double quotes, anything. No backslash, no double quotes, anything. It would just like this has a special power. This apostrophe between I and M abhi hai na. It has a special power, and what is that special power? It can close. It can like impersonate this string, this double quote that we have, and pretend to be that, and kind of close the string pehle se. And what the backslash does is it stands behind it. We are adding the backslash behind it. Never in front. Like if I add it in front, then it would take away the superpower from M, and M does not have any superpower now. So what we do is we add backslash behind this special character, this apostrophe, the single quote, and that essentially takes away that any superpower that that character might have. Anvit, would it work if you use the backslash before the I? Let's give it a try. Anvit, now you tell me, does the letter I have any special special power? No, it does not, because it's a normal letter, na? So like we don't have to worry about that. So like when I run it, this backslash, it takes away the special power from like the letter that is after it, or like the character that is after it. So like if I run it now, see, dekho, error throw kiya. So whichever special character you want to take away that power from, you just add a backslash behind it and it will work. Or you could also use double quotes. Take care. That is up to you. Or you could also like wrap the whole thing in double quotes and it would work just the same way. And we can use them as long as they don't match the quotes and closing the string itself. Take care. Slash works for all special signs in JS? Yes, it does. It's an escape character. It's like this special type of thing. But like this is probably the most common use case of it. Right, now to Mahasri, to answer your question. I thought that string was an amalgamation of letters, numbers, and symbols. Is that incorrect? No, that is not incorrect, Maharshi. Say I add something, I am learning JS for the 7th time. So this 7 that we have here, yahan pe, in this whole message variable, right? What is it? Like, is it an integer? Is it a string? Like a variable message, abhi, is it like an integer or is it a string? A string, yes. Maharshi? It's a string. What if I do this? It's still in double quotes. But like, what if I do this? Is this a string? Maharshi, I'm waiting for a reply. You asked me the question. It is still, I actually don't know. Okay, so how do you identify a string? Do you remember that? You identify a string, yes, with the double quotes. Does this have a double quote? Yes. So what is it? Is it a string or is it an integer? It's a string. Okay. Now, what if it was this? Then what would have this be? Then it would have been an integer. Yes. I think there is a command for that as well. I think you can do something like, second. Wait, let me just a second. Right. So I believe that if you do something like type of, I think if my memory serves me well, then it will essentially tell you what it is. Not sure if I'm correct yahan pe. Achha, I think what I'm supposed to do is not wrap it up yahan pe. Clear. Shuru ko kya hua isko? Think it didn't stop running. Huh. That is interesting to see. Let me just open up new instance iska. And I do something like type of message. Does not do anything. What if I that is interesting to see. I'll actually look into it and tell you later on. Take care. Data type message. हाँ नहीं data type message नहीं Rishabh. It's type of is the method. I just cannot for the life of me remember how I used to do that. Maharshi, another question. Does the difference between 7 and 7 essentially change anything in the code apart from the type of variable? Change anything in the code? What kind of change do you think it will make? Like, if I do something like, एक second, I'll just comment this out. If I do something like console.log 7, 7 plus 7, इसका output क्या होगा? What will the output for this line be? 14. Aditya, why will it be 14? It's not a string. What is it? It is an integer, yes. Swapnil. And if I run that, it's essentially showing us the same thing. I just added a space यहाँ पे. So that is the correct message. And this is essentially a string, right? So string क्या करता है? This is known as concatenation, by the way. It's a fancy word for essentially gluing two strings together. So यहाँ पे कोई दिमाग नहीं लगाना है, ठीक है? When you are adding two strings, all you have to do is just just glue them together, ठीक है? Hello Swapnil. If I run that, it'll be hello Swapnil because I'm gluing it. I add a space here. Does the plus operator serve any purpose in a string then? Plus operator serve any purpose in a string? No, like if I add a plus operator inside a string, ठीक है, it will not do anything. See, यहाँ पे ऐसे ही दिखते हैं. The plus operator, it will only function. Plus operator का superpower तभी होगा if it is like बाहर होगा. How do we write in two different lines? What are you referring to? Like the strings, acha. I think if I remember correctly, you do something like this. It's either this or backslash n. I'm not sure. I'll have to say. It's probably backslash n. देखो. What will 7 plus 7 run? Okay. Maharshi, what do you think it will run? Will it give you an error? Will this give you an error, or like what will the output be? Output screen पे क्या दिखाएगा? No, because it's a string, no. No, I'm asking you what the output for this will be. इसके अंदर, what is this? नहीं. Think. Rishabh is correct. Yes. Maharshi, I think you meant 7 plus 7. Okay. It's a string, so 7 plus 7. And if I run that now, it'll be 7 plus 7. Why? Because this is ऐसे ही तो, like it's a मामूली string, right? And what did I tell you? If you like add a plus or something inside यहाँ पे अंदर, it will not do anything. Like इसका superpower सिर्फ quotes के बाहर ही होता है. And quotes के अंदर it just becomes any like normal plus sign की तरह. Did you understand what this did, Maharshi? Just going through and seeing if there are any other questions as well. You had another question. Does the difference between 7 and 7 essentially change anything in the code apart from the type of variable? I think I answered the question. Addition, subtraction, that thing. Right. What if we assign two different strings and then essay 7 plus 7? Matlab? What if we assign two different strings as in? Acha, so you mean 7 plus 7 एक second. 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7. Do you mean this, Mahashri? Was this your question? I'm asking you. हाँ. What do you think this will be? I'm asking to everyone अभी. इसका output? Okay, Rishabh. What about the rest? What do you all think? इसका output, like if I run this code now, what will the output be? Okay, Anvit also has the same. And अच्छा अभी तो सभी 7 plus 77 plus 7 देंगे. Ooh, Aditya has an interesting answer. Okay, I'll also take that as well. Mahashri, what do you think? इसका क्या होगा? तुमने तो question पूछा. 7 plus 7 and 7 plus 7 with a space. अच्छा. Okay, चलो run करके देखते हैं. It's 7 plus 77 plus 7. No, there is no space here. Spaces only matter, Mahashri. Spaces only matter if I put them inside the code. Like यहाँ अगर ऐसे करता, then it would have been, तुम्हारा answer. ठीक है, but spaces don't matter. Like I can add however many spaces I want यहाँ पे, and it won't really affect anything. Like if I can run that now, see, same ही चीज आएगा. Like I can add however many spaces I want outside the quotation marks. Quotation marks के बाहर तुम्हें जो भी करना है करो, it will not matter at all. हाँ, so it is 7. And Aditya, did you understand? You said 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7. Huh. So like what does this do? It just adds the strings together. This is known as concatenation. Concatenation. I'm just writing it down. Concatenation. Something like I wasn't originally planning on covering it, but since we had time, I did. So does anybody have any other questions? Anything? कुछ भी पूछ लो अभी. Try to stick to what we covered, Aj.
Swap, if you have finished, you can give me just 10 seconds at the end of the
हाँ, I will. I saw a message. दिए दो मुझे. All right, so I don't. Can we convert integer? ये बाद में next class. अभी नहीं, ठीक है. But yes, I mean technically you are ना. Like जब तुम्हें पहले example में दिखाया था ना. Like ऐसे अगर if we have something like var x equal to 10 and then var y equal to, I don't know, 5 and then var z, इसमें से which one of these variables are integers and which ones are strings? Answer. Quick, जल्दी दो. X and y is what? X, y integer, हाँ. And z is a string. Good. अभी if I add यहाँ पे x plus y, output क्या होगा? 15. Pretty unanimous answer. Okay. What if I do y plus x? Green red पे मत जाओ. Like Anvit, like many compilers, they might have different colors. ठीक है, like जैसे कि यहाँ blue डाल देंगे. ठीक है. So like just go with quotation marks. Quotation marks को देखना. Because like different compilers, like if I open Visual Studio Code now, like it'll probably have a different configuration to JavaScript. It's different. Yes, Rishabh. Differs with the code editors, compilers nahi, Rishabh. Okay. Good. What if I do y plus x? फिर भी तो 15 ही होगा. That was also a pretty unanimous answer. What if I do x plus z? Okay, Rishabh says error. A third one also says error. Acha. Arnesh also says error. 10 plus 5. Yes. Antara. Anvit. 10 plus 5. नहीं, यहाँ प्लस कहाँ देख रहे हो तुम? Kavya and Antara, yes. Kavya and Antara are correct. हाँ. नहीं, Rishabh. C++ में you cannot add an integer with a string. But like do you remember pehle when I was explaining before I taught you data types, I did give you an example of this. Var, like, it automatically converts it for you. JavaScript has an inbuilt feature which automatically converts strings to integers and integers to string whenever it wants to, basically. Like when I run it, 105 is the answer. अभी 105 क्यों हुआ? Give me an explanation for this. Answer तो ठीक है, मिल गया. एक जन को देख के सभी जन से भी copy करके answer they send you. But what is the explanation for this? Pradesh, I'm giving you. Just give me 5 minutes. The integer and string is placed side by side, not added. And what is it called? What is the side by side placing called? String ka? Getting concatenated. Yes, Kavya. Concatenation. Yes. Concatenation. Antara. N ko hata do. Second N. Concatenation. Let's start it. Yep. Concatenation. So what if I did something like Z plus Y? अबे इसका आंसर क्या होगा? एक सेकंड, Maharshi answering your question. Okay, 55. क्यों 55 क्यों होगा? I don't think it'll be 55. Why? Give me an explanation. सिर्फ आंसर तो ठीक है भेज दिया. Give me an explanation for why it'll be 55. Again, string and int is getting concatenated. Sure. Concatenation. What if it's 10? Oh, sorry. What if it's x plus? Sorry, ये तो कर ही दिया already. रुको. Z. What if it's z plus x? $510. Run करके देखें. 510. Okay. Maharshi, I'm coming to your question. Just a second. What if I add a new side variable a एक हमने name किया and we call it 10 plus. ठीक है. What is variable a? Data type क्या है variable का? Rishabh, there is nothing called Rishabh. Why will this be a car? Okay, you've corrected yourself. There is no car. Like, it's something you don't have to worry about. Okay, character, it's only there in C++ mostly. But like string ke hisab se, to you're saving most of it, na? So now if I do something like a plus x, answer kya hoga? Yes, JS has Boolean, Maharshi. And I'm coming back to your pehla question. Let's see it. Yeah, it'll be 10 plus 10. Okay. So like at least you have understood what concatenation and like normal addition is, like integer addition. Okay, Maharshi had a question. Variable x equal to 3, var y equal to 3. Console.log 3, 3. Why is the answer to this 33? A second, I'll just copy in what you have sent. Wait, I cannot find your message. Hey, could you send me your question again, Maharshi? Scrolling, but I don't think I see it. Okay, send it. Could you send it to my other account, Swapnil PC? Sorry. Okay. Or just like public message kar do na, that everybody can see it as well. Just like change it. So wait, I'll just send. So this is Mahashri's question. ठीक है, chat पे देखो सभी. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mahashri. She sent me the full question. So I will just copy and paste this inside. ठीक है. I'll just. Acha, hey, I have a question for all of you. I want to comment out pura cheese. Yeah. What do I do? And what is it called? Rishabh? Multi-line comment. हाँ, okay. हो गया? Do I need to do anything else? Do I need to do anything else? Like, is it okay? Can I start writing? अभी नीचे? Yes, we have to do that. हाँ. अभी? हाँ. ठीक है. So I'll just paste this यहाँ पे. This was what your question was. I'll just add semicolons यहाँ पे. Even though it is not a problem if you don't, it is just better practice. So इसका output क्या होगा? What do we think?
Oh, this wasn't my question. I'm so sorry. One was a string and one was an integer, actually.
अच्छा, okay. I'll change that. हाँ. Is it okay now? अच्छा, wait. I'll just add x, y. ऐसे तो. Three. We're getting different answers. Okay, now give me your explanations. Answer मिल गया मुझे. Yes, Aditya, Jyotishko, Antara. Give me your explanations now. Why do you think it'll be 33, or why do you think it'll be 3 space 3? There is no operator, so the compiler just prints the value assigned. Nahi. Achha, wait, did I do anything wrong? No, I did not. क्या होना चाहिए फिर? Error. Why did it throw me an error? Concatenation तो ठीक है, समझा. But why did it throw me an error? Why was this behavior unexpected? कोई नहीं? Does nobody have no operator to run? Yes, Aditya, that is correct. हाँ, नहीं, equal to क्यों? अंतरा equal to तो नहीं है कहीं पे भी. It's plus, I think. That is what you meant to say. No plus. हाँ. अभी इसका आउटपुट क्या होगा? Okay, 33, pretty unanimous. And अभी इसका आउटपुट क्या होगा? 33. Okay, I've got my answer. अभी इसका आउटपुट क्या होगा? Yes, Rishabh. That is correct. 3 Q. And why are others not answering? Will there be a gap? There will be a gap. But why will there be a gap? There is a space in the string. Yes, very good, Antara and Mahashri. There's a space inside the string. Concatenation and there are spaces. Okay. Very good then. Okay, so I think we're mostly done. A question. Okay, Pritish, just a second. I'm just answering these questions and then I'll give you. Does concatenation only work with plus or with other operators as well? As far as I remember, other operators कल देख लेंगे ना. Or like you could try it. We have not covered operators yet. I just did plus because I wanted to explain to you data types ka different things. Like plus is like pretty simple to understand, but like Anvit, that is a question for like next class. I think if both values are ins, but we don't assign an operator, then kya hoga? You don't assign an operator, Mohammed? Both values are acha, okay. You mean this? Acha, wait, I deleted the wrong thing. Do you mean this? Acha, nahi, you mean I removed this as well.
YX, yeah.
Yx. What do we think? Modulo shows remainder. Modulo shows remainder. But I will not get into that now. Aditya, कल के लिए error. क्यों error? अभी तो integer है. अभी तो integer होना चाहिए. No operator. Okay, good. Yes, see? It's giving you the error, and
So
it points
will
out.
only show an error if both of these are integers. But if one of them is a string, then if there's no operator, then it wouldn't matter.
नहीं, अभी इसका क्या होगा? बोलो.
33.
33, sure. Or what do the others say? Error. If we run it, यहाँ पे भी error होगा. क्यों? Explanation, please explain to Mahashri. No operator, Rishabh. No operator is needed for compiler to run something. No operator. So like to answer your question, Mahashri, operators दोनों जगह पे ही लगेगा. Like, we have to have an operator. If both of those were strings, would it run? Question. अब इसका output क्या होता? Would it show 33 or would it show error? Run. Error. Is that clear, Abhi? Okay. Mahashri, is that clear as well? All right, so I don't believe any of you have any other questions as well. If you do, it's 9:30 already baj gaya, theek hai? So I will give over the stage to Pritish, who is the other instructor in the course. Pritish, you wanted to say something? Last 10 minute you were asking for.
Yes, regarding the earlier type of function.
Hi, ki korchish? Echo asche. Bro. Type
Sir,
of.
sir,
Right.
sir. Sir, I joined a bit
Yes.
late. Can you go over what you taught today?
Yes, sir, please. Same.
Yeah, a little late.
I will
Sir, same here.
give you all
We
zero
came a
grade.
bit late due to
Not
his
sir, it is
result.
bhaiya. Hey.
Oh, is that
Sorry,
okay?
sorry,
Usman,
sorry.
he's
there was-
correcting you.
Sorry,
I'll stop
we had
recording. Pritish, I'm listening to you.
Pause,
Excellent.
pause.
Chup tak. They're very bad people, na? Anvit, Jyotishko, Archishman is a very bad person, na? I'll stop recording. Acha, do you have anything else to say? Pritish? No, they are not bad people, huh? But they are interrupting our class, though. It was very peaceful before they joined. Yes, but acha, take it. Okay. So then we have nothing else to discuss anymore. This has been a pretty interactive session. You all are 12th graders. No, I'm currently in college. Yeah. No, like I'm currently applying.
Yeah,
okay.
he's.
We all are.
But yeah,
Yeah, he's like
okay.
5 years older than us. He's already finished college, applying for a job.
I currently own like a unicorn
Yeah,
startup.
that's
Not a
why
big
we
deal.
called him a sir. Like if you did not know.
Okay, so I think it was clear completely what we covered today. No doubts, no questions, could it be? Okay. Right. So this has been a pretty interactive session. You will all be graded based on your performance. You do not need to worry about that because this has mostly been a very interactive session. Thank you all for having the patience to sit with us for over 1.5 hours now. And we look forward. Also, another thing, we will be sending you a quiz of sorts, Google Forms pay, and this will be completely open book quiz. Take it. So like, cheating का कोई problem नहीं है. Like you can refer to the book whenever you want. Like refer to the material whenever you want. And this is just so that we have a record of what you have learned. And so that like material dekh ke, like, you know, you can kind of answer questions, because that is technically what we do as well when we go for hackathons and all that. Okay, so that is it, I think. And also, like, there'll be a coding project which I'll be sending you. It'll take maximum 20. With school exams were also like this. I wish to board exams agar aise hota to. And also there will be a coding project which I will tell you where to send, how to send, kaise karna hai. And I will also, like, it'll maximum take 20 minutes of your time. ठीक है, ज़्यादा नहीं. And like 10 minutes, 5 minutes पे हो जाएगा. It's a very basic thing, essentially. And this will be for every, like, as we finish doing everything, like as we finish एक class, उसके बाद ये coding project और एक quiz आएगा. ठीक है. So you are all requested to obviously send in your work. Time doesn't matter. Best thing to do in vacation. Yes, it is the best thing to do during vacation. I'll stop now. Okay, so we're stopping recordings now. Thank you.